Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Alhamdulillah. Thank you, YouTube. Thank you, subscribers, viewers, and supporters of this channel. ISO 14001 version 2015 Environmental Management System, a standard for environmental management system, international. What is it? Environmental Management System ISO 14001 stipulates that it is a management system that manages environmental aspects. How? By fulfilling compliance obligation and addressing risk and opportunity. What is environmental aspects? Based on the definition is elements of the organization's services, products, activities that interacts or can interact with the environment. But my version, I put it simple: anything, matter, substance, raw mat, influent, effluent, air emission, you name it, intermediates, machines, tools, anything that interacts or can interact with the environment is an environmental aspect within that scope of certification. So how do we identify environmental aspects? So it's based on, well, luckily we have got mechanical engineering is a concept of mass balance. Here we are. I'm showing before you this particular method: input, output analysis on each unit processes of every activity in the organization. Okay, that is how we identify environmental aspects. I will show you shortly. And in this particular example, I will quote an activity for this particular factory. I'm referring to the manual Isokinetic Stack Sampling manual. I'm not referring to the continuous emission monitoring system, which is built in, which is established, installed at the stacks of all these factories, and whose reading would be online with the departments concerned, who will have access to the current value detected by those CMS. I'm not talking about that. We are going to refer the example as the manual Isokinetic Stack Sampling. Right, before we go on, my fellow Muslim brothers and sisters, please do not watch this video if you are already in the mosque for the Friday prayers and for any other religious events, especially religious lessons. Thank you very much. Love you for that. I wish you all in blessed with Jannatul Naim. Thank you. Now, in this video, I will show you immediately after this a slide where I will display the chronology of the implementation of Environmental Management System ISO 14001, a summarized step, what we do in establishing the EMS, and then I will show you where this input-output analysis is positioned. And then we'll look into the input-output of this particular activity. And lastly, I will show you the how we assemble all the environmental aspects in a form of aspects impact register, which I normally refer to as the dashboard. Okay, let's take a look at this chronology. Well, literally you can say that steps in the implementation of ISO 14001. I'm showing you the principal steps. There are various other within the steps which I don't show here is the SOPs. Those are easy for you to access, but this is crucially important for especially beginners who wants to have the environmental management system set up for the company. Now, the input-output analysis, as I showed you earlier, is here. Look, there you are. It is the prime and most important and very early process. If you ask me, I would say step one. We can have the context of organization and all other administrative requirements under clause 4 of this standard to be done concurrent, no problem. But normally I assign other team who are more well versed with administration and management matters. But environmental aspects identification, I need purely technical people, especially those with the hands on the job, the process engineers, supervisors, the foremen, the operators themselves. I will bring them for an interview at the machine itself and brainstorm every part to identify all the environmental aspects involved in that particular unit process. So we will do these input-output analysis for all the unit processes, for all the departments in our organization, our activities, there you are, our services and our products. We will do the input-output analysis and then we will have them listed. Once that is done, then we go for an evaluation, a systematic evaluation to identify the significance of environmental impact derived from them, how these environmental aspects interact with the environment, and to determine how severe would their impacts be to the environment. Of course, we have got evaluation criteria, and for us to identify with that, we are able to identify significant environmental aspects already listed down in a table with the evaluation, and we will use some scoring system, numerics or formulas, regardless whatever you do. But I'll show you an example that I have which have never proven me wrong. Okay, and also and then we assemble them in what is called aspects impact register. This is the dashboard that I've been talking about. And in this register, we will incorporate this for every aspect. We will incorporate this in this register so that at this point, excuse me, our company, upon looking at the dashboard, will understand their position as far as their due diligence is and responsibility is in environmental management. Where are we? Where are they? Literally, you can see that. Once that is clear to us, what do we need to manage? Remember, environmental aspects. How severe, how significant are their respective environmental impacts? Then we know what we are dealing with. After knowing that, only then we will formulate our environmental policy. And then we got to sit down, top management, steering committee, EMR, got to sit down and trash for what would be your objectives and targets. Remember, achievable. You got to make sure that these objectives that you have laid down or going to lay down, going to have, is achievable, and the target especially is achievable. Okay, all right. And once that is done, we start to formulate who, do what, when, and how, and what are the resources needed for the environmental management program. This is not a new term. You can use these EMP objectives targets that you have from the previous certification. Don't change the name. Intended outcome, as you see, stipulated by the new standard, is a philosophical term. It's not a technical term. It is a philosophical term. Don't change EMP objective targets. It stays. What these standard reiterate or emphasizes by using intended outcome is this. We have got to make sure in our environmental management program objectives and targets, we have included some intention to have an improvement in our environmental performance. That is why I have environmental performance in the dashboard. I will show you shortly. And this intended outcome philosophy is to ensure that in the objective targets and EMP, we have committed in fulfilling all compliance obligation. It could be compliance obligation to the authorities, to the agencies, to the insurance, to the vendors, to the suppliers, to the contractors, to our clients, to labor union, to insurance, to political parties, whatever, to landowners, building owners. All these are compliance obligation, and it's a two-way traffic. We are obliged to them by delivering. They are also obliged to us by delivering what we have agreed upon. Got it? And in the intended outcome, somewhere in the objective target and also environmental management program, we need to ensure that we are desired, we are committed, and the top management is accountable for the achievement of environmental objectives. So this is the entire chronology representing the philosophy of intended outcome and the entire implementation of EMS ISO 14001 version 2015, and where input-output analysis is. That is what I'm showing you right now. Now let's take a look at the input-output analysis. So this is a picture taken a long time ago when I was trained in Isokinetic Stack Sampling in Denmark. Now, stack sampling, as you see, this one, I'm referring to the manual Isokinetic Stack Sampling. I'm not referring to the CEMS or Continuous Emission Monitoring System. This is the manual. Now, listen carefully. Environmental aspects are involved or being released from our processes of our activities in three situations: normal, abnormal, and emergency. Now, isokinetic stack sampling is a planned activity for this company. Therefore, all the environmental aspects during this activity for the factory are environmental aspects released or involved in abnormal situation, not emergency, not normal. But for the isokinetic stack sampling company, it will be a normal situation for them, but not for this factory. I hope you're able to understand that. Now, what is the input-output analysis? Here we go. Input, this is input, and this is output. What does it mean? What comes into the process when what gets out of the process? These are all the environmental aspects. Even the machines are considered input into this process, and they become output. You can be that delicate, but let's go into something which is more comprehensible. Okay, now the first aspect that we look at will be the air emissions. This air emission is going through the company or the factory's stack. Okay, It could be a vertical stack, horizontal stack. In this case, it's horizontal and then band and then vertical. Doesn't matter that, okay? There are specific techniques in isokinetic stack sampling for this situation. Now, air emissions gets into this particular isokinetic stack sampling equipment through the nozzle of the probe. So air emissions gets in. Now, what is its environmental impact for the emissions that get into the probe? Look, it is an input aspect. Therefore, what impact are these emissions as input? Remember, this is input, is to look at its life cycle perspective upstream, meaning where does these air emissions, it could be chemical gases, it could be dust particulate, it could be acid fumes, whatever, where does it come from? It comes from the factory processes. What does the factory process? Raw materials. What are these raw materials? Can we control them? Yes, we purchase them. Okay. Can we influence them? Yes, by limiting how much do we want to use them, optimizing our productivity or process methods, so we can have a certain level of control and a certain level of influence as a whole. Okay, so the more emissions that gets out from the stack but into this isokinetic stack sampler, is it means the more raw mat is required, and raw mats are taken from natural resources. Therefore, by far towards the end of the upstream of its life cycle, it causes a state of environmental impact known as resource depletion. That is the environmental impact for this input environmental aspect for this particular process, isokinetic stack sampling. And what comes out? These air emissions are being sampled in a thimble, filter, a few methods of, there are some, what they call impinger, glass, flask, you name it. So we call it sample media. Various types of chemicals uses different media, and the dust particles are trapped at the filter media. So let's assume it's a gas or chemical gases that comes in, that gets out of this particular probe and gets into the media, and the media is taken to the lab. What happened? The media is now an output environmental aspect. So what would it, how would it interact with the environment and causes what type of impact? We got to look at the downstream of its life cycle perspective. Correct me if I'm wrong. Well, it's been a long time I left the lab. This sample media is this sampling terrain, and is in the form of media and a cyclone thing, glass. I'm not the expert though. It's been a long time. We sent it to the lab. And what I've observed in the lab is they use some chemical chromatograph to what they call to analyze, to run the analysis. And after that analysis is done, what I saw is that the chemists would clean up this flask, this cyclone, glass cyclones, what they call impinger bottles and all this, using a chemical called acetone. Acetone is being used to clean up, and I saw that chemicals is being flushed into the washing sink, and that goes to the labs, I believe, some form of treatment plants, and thus therefore eventually it will interact with the environment further when it is being released out of the plant, perhaps into the monsoon rain or into the ditches, into the drain, and causes water pollution. So it is an output aspect. The impact is to look downstream. If it is an input aspect, the impact we have got to look upstream of their life cycle perspective. One example. So you think about the rest. Think about the other aspects like probe brush, used probe brush. I've given some clues there. Impinger bottle, broken impinger bottle. I did that once. Yeah, cleaning reagent, span cleaning reagent, etc. So think about it, and do comment in the comment column below what are other aspects that you want to know, and please describe. We'll get a few netizens, probably experts who are watching this to answer your question. Okay, and let's take a look at the results of all this input output analysis, imagining for all the processes, and we table them out in a manner which I call the dashboard. So this is the format that I have been doing for many years. After failure and failure since 1996, we found this eventually a good format in the year 2000, and I trained the major certification body in this country, Malaysia. I believe they still remember me. Doesn't matter. Now this is the format, but now what I have is much better than that those days. But before we go into this, I have to remind you, if you have already a consultant or trainer working with you, please consult them. Okay, I believe they know your processes better, and they may have some what you call appropriate evaluation technique, or perhaps tabulation technique. Please refer to your consultants and trainers. Now for this one, what we have in my first column is, for us, this is the trick. We have activities and process as the first column right to the very left, so that we don't make mistakes by overlooking some other processes. In order to do this, you got to break up your organization into all the departments and identify all the activities in those departments first. Okay, and then we'll do the input output analysis of all the processes within those different sectors of the departments, and for all the departments and the entire organization. And then we have got environmental aspects over here, second column, and their associated environmental impact over here. Got it? And we have, what we have here is the aspects impact evaluation technique. This is the aspect impact evaluation. We have got all the what they call aspects impact criteria and rating scheme. It is in a separate. The numerics, the definitions are in separate attachment. I'm not going to discuss it in this video. If you want it, please write a comment. Maybe I'll share with you if it's appropriate to do so. And don't forget this. Look, in compliance to the ISO 14001 version 2015, look, risk and opportunities in short form, there, written down for us to make statement, for us to make remarks. What are risk? It can be risk to the environment, it can be risk to businesses. Normally, I would associate it to businesses because our company are business entity. If we can do something to improve business sustainability through environmental management system, it would welcome your stakeholder to be interested in our environmental management program and our environmental management system certification. And also, I have included one column specific. That is why I call it dashboard, because everything that we want to know about our environmental management is here tabulated. Environmental performance, we have got this Management Performance Index, Operational Performance Index, and Environmental Condition Index, and our overall environmental performance over here. This is just the format that has never proven me wrong. I've tested it with 17 different types of industry, not 17 factories, 17 different types of factory, and for each type of industry, several factories. You can imagine how many. And it's never gone wrong because we have done, the trick is the criteria and rating, criteria and its rating, the definitions that we have it there. It is more into business, tailored into ecological, environmental sciences, and of course, legal, etc. So this is the dashboard. And you can see all these environmental aspects over here. The rest are samples, the format that we have. And it is from the risk and opportunity we may have to develop additional, perhaps, objective. Please tackle it from there. We can find something when we do this. Most of the time, we find many things that we can work on for our environmental management system. There you are, the dashboard. Please consult your consultant and trainers and work with them and think with them and formulate something probably better than this. It's good for you. All right, so I believe that's about it for this video. As a Malay, I wish everybody semoga dikurniakan kesenangan, keselamatan, kesejahteraan, dan kebahagiaan serta kejayaan kehidupan di dunia dan di akhirat. And until we meet in the next video, inshallah, as a Muslim, I wish everybody, whoever you are, wherever you are, whatever color have you, your eyes, your hair, or your skin, doesn't matter. I wish you Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.